Hi, everybody. I'm Scott,
And I'm Luke.
And I'm Jonathan.
and this is the No Way to Hollywood podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, even though we ditched you for a long time.
It's been a little while here, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm very curious to see if any of you get to watch this or not. If you do watch this video, leave a comment below so that we know that you're still there, out there.
I'm just going to ask one question, which is, who are you? Who are you who've come back? Who are you who was there in the first? Who are you?
Well, and apparently we're supposed to be like, hey, click the subscribe button that I don't know where it is, or like this video, or sign up for alerts, or
For those of you who don't know, Scott has just discovered YouTube, and so he's trying to understand how
for
YouTube
the first
works.
time. For the very first time.
Okay, guys, I don't think that this is actually working. Like,
Oh?
it says it's streaming, but like it's not showing up on the stream feed over here.
If for some reason this shows up in the actual episode,
Yeah.
I will just use that great term, technical difficulties. It's been a while.
And they change things. Like OBS and YouTube change things in how they interact with each other. So I pulled everything up, and it wasn't connected anymore. Okay, I'm
Is there a
going
way
to.
for me to verify this, Luke? You want me to go check this out in a place and see if it's actually broadcasting?
Sure. I mean, like, yeah, I
Alright.
guess we
Here
could
we
do
go.
that.
Here
Like,
we
let's
go.
let's see if we can figure that out. Let's see if we can.
Phone. Wait, where's my
Hey
YouTube
guys,
thing?
welcome. This is live. This is like real live. No,
YouTube.
okay, here we go. We're gonna go over here.
Best YouTubers.
No.
We
Oh,
we
No
are
Way to
really
Hollywood, there it
professional.
is. No Way to Hollywood. Oh, I'm subscribed to No Way to Hollywood. Good job, me. I
Oh
listened
my
to
goodness, you guys.
Are we live?
We streamed this 264 days and 22 hours ago. The last time we streamed.
260 something days? Is that what you said?
264
live.
days and 22
Yeah, we're
hours.
totally live, dude.
Oh, hey, look,
We're live?
We're live.
It's working?
We are.
Okay, well,
we
I
are
don't know why
live.
this is I don't know why this is
Apparently
telling me that it's
working.
not. But
Has
So yeah, it's been
anyone on YouTube
264
ever,
days and
showed
22
the streaming
hours.
thing on their phone before?
I'm sure somebody has, but in fact, probably many people. But like this occasion, I don't think anyone cares.
no, they don't. Okay, so I'm glad that it's actually working. I hope that my audio is actually getting picked up right
Well,
now.
It's delayed. I can see myself showing the phone now. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's how it works.
Technology, folks. For those of you who are somehow still here, I was curious who you are. I'm even more curious about who
Yeah, if you're sticking
you
through
are.
this part, like, wow, you're dedicated.
For as much as we are film people and enjoy film, technology is still technology and doesn't always work. So thank you for sticking with us. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode. And oh, wait, we actually are going to talk about something meaningful tonight.
The infamous technical difficulties broadcast episode. It's a special Easter egg, No Way to Hollywood. Yeah, we're talking about things tonight. That's what
We
we're
are.
doing, right?
Yeah, that's the theory at least.
Cool.
Well, I know it's been a while, guys.
Mm.
And I'm trying to remember exactly what we used to do on this podcast.
Mm.
Can you help me out? Like what are we doing here?
So we talk about things, whether it's technology, videos, movies, shows, stories that we'd want to write, or off the fly, whatever. But today, whenever you're watching this thing, we are talking about Top Gun Maverick, which you'll see in the
Oh,
title.
I thought I was the one that was supposed to introduce the movie.
No, so you forgot about that, and so therefore I did it for you.
Guys,
Oh.
guys, calm it down. All right, it's going to be okay.
No, it's not.
Although I do find it hilarious that the moderator was just like,
What
do we do
What
here?
do we do in this show?
what is podcast?
Oh,
Okay, so we're talking about Top Gun Maverick, and the only reason why we didn't talk about it like immediately, because we're like years late to this whole show, like 264 days and 22. No, that's not entirely true. Is because of me. I am the fault. I've got kids and a family, and I'm busy, and so I do not have the freedom to go out and watch these things. So these guys have seen it multiple times now, and I finally got around to watching it for the first time.
Okay, Jonathan, how long has Top Gun Maverick been out, and how long did it take Luke to actually see it?
Let me just pull this up so I get the actual facts on
Well, it
this.
did just come out on streaming, and you did just purchase it.
I
on-
did.
on-
Spoiler alert, I like this movie. Yeah, no, Top Gun Maverick has actually, it was only going to have a 45-day window, was the required window it had to have in theaters, was the promise. I think probably
Interesting.
to like Tom Cruise from the studio.
Right.
But because it was so successful and has been long running, it is still like this Friday, this Saturday, this weekend, it's going to have more Dolby Atmos, Dolby Cinema showings for
At our
Top Gun
local
Maverick.
theater. At our local theater.
At our local theater, you know.
At your theater too, for sure. And if they
Maybe
don't,
your theater
sue them.
doesn't
No, I don't.
do that. I don't know. There's only like 3 of you anyway. Let's see, release date. Take a look. May 27th, 2022. That's
At least
how
it was this
long
year.
this movie has
That's
been
good.
in theaters.
That's good.
Wait,
That's
May
currently-
27th?
May 27th. May 27th.
Is
I'm
that
gonna
really
check.
when I saw it? Because I saw it, it wasn't opening day. Did I see it with you opening day? No, I saw it with my wife.
I don't think we saw it together, dude. I don't think we did that.
Not
But I
until
do-
not until we went and saw it, all 3 of us, 3
We
months
did.
after it came out.
Currently, according to Box Office Mojo, in the time it's taken from May 27th to August 24th of 2022, the film has made $1.4 billion in the worldwide total box office. That's $685 million domestic and $720 million international. So a decently even split, honestly.
That's quite impressive.
And in
Yeah.
fact, for a long time there, domestic was higher and or right in line, really close. It's only been the last, I don't know, maybe a month that I've been checking on this occasionally, and I think the international's been pulling ahead slowly but surely. So,
Well,
I mean, there
that's
are
right.
more countries in the
did
world
see
than the
Top Gun
US.
Maverick the first time June 4th, and now I saw it with you guys. You know, like a little over a week ago.
I've seen this movie 3 times in theaters, and the last time was with you guys last week. That's how long we waited. So we waited till the middle of
2
August
months.
till we could start talking about this movie. So really, this entire episode is kind of pointless because you guys have all
Yes.
seen this movie.
You've already seen the movie.
Maybe multiple times at this point, especially now it's on streaming. You're just like, dude, I watched it. I don't even
Yeah.
care what people think. I don't need a review. And that's why we're not here to give you a review about whether you should or shouldn't go see Top Gun Maverick. We're just kind of here to talk about what we think and sing its praises, honestly. And Luke will probably not sing its praises in some places or just not sing it a lot, to which I'll be like, let me see if I can get a little background chorus of singing praises in there while he goes. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we all know that Luke hates every movie, so
Yeah. Yep. I just hate film so much.
That's
no,
why
no. You
That's
don't
why-
hate film, Luke.
Oh,
You
oh.
just hate every movie.
I hate every movie. Yes.
You love film, but you hate every movie.
Dude, this podcast is going to be the most rambly. We're getting back in the groove, baby. This is going to be a bit. Okay, so Luke,
Yeah.
you're the fresh eyeballs
Fresh
of this
eyeballs.
movie.
Yeah. I also didn't go back and rewatch the first one to kind of get myself up to speed. So I think one of the most interesting things for me going through the film was because I knew because it's a sequel in a sense. I
Literally
spent
a sequel.
I spent a lot of time in the movie being like, so am I supposed to remember who this character is? Am I supposed to know what this is? So instead of just like experiencing the film as a story in and of itself, I kept being like, is this something that I'm supposed to remember or not? Whereas if it's normal films that I go to see that are just one-offs or the first film in a series or whatever,
Those
if
don't
they're
exist anymore, but
if they're
okay.
introducing a character, right, and people are having a conversation about their past lives or their past time together, I'm like, okay, cool, this is giving me new information about these characters and their relationship. But because I didn't know who was in the first film and who was in this one and who was new, like I spent a lot of the film assuming that certain characters were certain other characters, and they weren't. Most noticeably Jennifer Connelly's character, where I was like, is she supposed to be the same girl? it's kind of weird because she's totally not the same girl. And apparently, I found out afterward from you guys, she's not the same girl, and that made a whole lot more sense.
Right. And I mean, the giveaway to you should have been that the girl in the first movie was, one, in the Navy, and two, had a pretty high-ranking position in the Navy, as I recall, at least reasonably high. And the Jennifer Connelly's character owned a bar.
Right, but she was also connected to the Navy, and somebody reasonably high up in the Navy, and yeah, it sounded like she'd just gone on to like go do her own thing to me, you know, like I was like, okay, and there have been enough films that have totally replaced the.
That's what I was going to say. The real culprit here is that other movies have decided that they will just completely recast the person,
right?
Like the Dark Knight trilogy, from Batman Begins to the Dark Knight. That one character I don't like, who I don't even remember her name, she got completely recast from Katie Holmes to Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, totally.
And then they did the best thing they could do with that character, and they killed her off and made Batman sad, and they made the Joker happy, and they made for drama. So that was good. Probably the most important thing that could have happened from that character.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, but this,
at least
it's not Atlas Shrugged, where they replaced like the entire cast, and you spend the entire film of part 2 being like, what is happening? It was a terrible film.
I blame that, but also I blame that like Luke hasn't seen Top Gun enough. It clearly
right.
The issue.
That's clearly it. Yeah. Okay.
So
but
Jonathan, explain the part of Top Gun Maverick, or what happens in the original Top Gun that is related to the character that Luke incorrectly associated.
In the first Top Gun, there is a love interest, and in the first Top Gun, Tom Cruise and this love interest are very, very sexy. There's much sexiness. They're like super into each other. And then they get together and he goes off and fights people and jets and planes. And then he comes back and they have this really cool song from Berlin that plays. Da-na-na-na, I can't, take my breath away. And then they get together, and there's this other song that's also like an older song that they use at the end, and they get together, and you're like, oh, they're gonna be together, it's gonna be great. And then in this movie, she's just gone.
Yeah,
she's completely and utterly gone.
So
it's almost as if it didn't matter at all, unless you went into the movie wondering whether or not it was the same person as Jennifer Connelly. Then it mattered a lot, because you were like, wait a minute, is this the same person? Because that person and this person look very different to me.
These are not the same person. I know that the actress is totally different. I know that you are a different person. But in film world, are you supposed to be just an older version of this person? And what happened, and I don't know, and whatever, Yeah.
But there's this other thing going on, too. In Top Gun Maverick, the love interest is a character who, by name, is referenced in the first Top Gun movie. But we never saw her. It's a little Easter egg in there if you've seen the first movie a bunch and like it and understand that.
If you understand things, unlike me. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Right.
Sometimes you just haven't seen Top Gun.
Enough.
A lot.
Right. Yeah.
So there is a reference to Jennifer Connelly's character,
Penny,
in Penny Benjamin,
Top Gun.
Yes. In fact,
Penny Benjamin, is that like
know her, understand her in Top Gun Maverick?
We have it doesn't matter at all, but it is fun because the scene in question is literally an admiral like chewing them out. You've been doing these flybys way too close to these different towers. This here, and one admiral's daughter, and then Goose turns to Maverick and is like, Penny Benjamin, and Tom Cruise is like, I don't, maybe. Because who knows how many admiral's daughters he's been doing flybys over? I don't know. So that's the reference. That's the connection. And then out of that, the writers of this new one were like, let's make a character. And so they cast a person and gave them dialogue and everything. And Jennifer Connelly played this character. It was great.
I feel like right now, and this is just my headcanon all of a sudden, Penny Benjamin, like doing like the Benjamin, all about the Benjamins, and then like a penny, and like putting those two, like that's just hilarious from a name perspective for me. Okay, well that's cool. All right, I feel like the
and right after the movie, when we all saw it together, we did do a first impressions video that we may or may not release.
Right. Because Yeah, it's
For our Patreon members who pledge $5 and above, you can see the 30-second video of us being moronic in a vehicle talking about Top Gun Maverick, as opposed to being moronic talking about it here online.
I feel like actually that was better than this.
We were a little bit more in a zone of like, let's get to the point and be like,
let's talk about things and not like not know how podcasting works anymore. It's really vlogging. Okay, so yeah, I think I liked what they did with the music, especially like callback songs. Like where I felt like that was good. I kind of missed that we didn't get too much Danger Zone actual singing. And yeah, not getting
that was a little sad. Highway to the Danger Zone would have been a great.
I don't know if it would have been good though. Yeah, it is like the music. Like they've got a good new kind of vibe on it, remix, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
It's just the same.
It's exactly the same.
Not exactly.
Right.
The edit itself is different, a little shorter, so it's a little shorter. You don't get as much of it, but it's just the same song.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, it was fun. It was a fun ride. Yeah. I guess I'll just jump into it because you guys are just waiting for me to say things. So I think that the highlight of the movie is absolutely kind of the test time run. What do they call? What was that called? The run that he does in the middle of the film.
The canyon run.
The canyon run.
The trench run.
The actual run.
No,
or are you talking about
the previous one? Yeah, the one where Tom Cruise comes in and is like, I'm gonna make this thing happen in 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Prove it run.
The prove it run.
The one where he steals a several $1 million fighter jet and goes through the fate course that none of his students can actually work on or make work.
They can never get it done in 2 minutes 30, and he gets it done in 2 minutes 15.
Yeah, and it's great. Like that sequence for me is the film. Like everything builds to that moment for me watching the film because it's his character and what's he going to do and how is he going to get himself to be able to accomplish this? What's the thing that's going to make this happen? And it's a good kind of payoff to something that happens at the beginning of the film when he's flying supersonic and all of those things. And because the supersonic thing kind of falls apart because of his hubris and like I'm just going to push it. You kind of have this a little bit of tension of like, okay, he's pushing it even faster than he needs to. So is that coming around again? Is stuff going to, is it all going to flame out? Little bits of tension in that, but also just really like a really good time. And what I liked about it compared to the last trench run where they're actually doing it, is that because this one is all about the future of the thing and what's going to happen, you're watching not only him, rocket through this thing, but you also have all of the students and everybody else kind of leaning in over the course of the run. Like they're just constantly leaning in. And so you're feeling that tension with them. And it's phenomenal because you're like, yeah, oh my goodness, the G-forces. Ah! And it's great. It's phenomenal that way. So I really like that. I think for me, that's the highlight of the film.
That's it. There you go, folks. That's the movie.
Boom. So thanks for joining us. It's been great. No, did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Luke, you're not allowed to end this podcast. Even though you have control of the button. I know your finger is on the button, but
it's the inside jokes. Okay, so Luke, that was the great, big, awesome sequence for you. I'm happy for you and stuff. I also like that sequence. What about, I don't know, the third act of the movie?
Yeah, the third act of the movie didn't work as well for me. There are several things about that. And so just to kind of lay these things out for you viewers, and you guys can tell us what you think about this, and you guys tell me what you think. But several problems with the third act of the film and the actual final trench run and all that kind of stuff.
Spoiler alert for the movie that you probably saw 3 times in theaters.
Oh yeah,
just want you to know.
Total spoilers. Like we're spoiling this place all over the place. Yeah,
we're going to the danger zone of spoilers.
Okay.
Take my breath away as we go into spoilers. Hold my hand as we go into spoilers.
Silk scarves, samurai swords, and orange juice.
All right, are you guys done?
Did we just break Luke?
No, I'm just waiting for you guys to be done so I can talk for a while.
Oh.
Not even that long. Okay. Okay. So, I think the first big problem for me was there was the group that went out and had been selected, and then there's a couple other people that went up into the air, and so even from the beginning, there's a little bit of lack of clarity for me as to who's doing what and why. And so you kind of have this thing right at the beginning with that, and you're kind of like, what's going on with this extra plane or other stuff? Because I knew that eventually the cocky guy, whatever his name was, he was going to come in and do something. Like I knew he was coming. Just when is he going to do that? I don't know yet. And so they take off.
Exactly what Tom Cruise's character did in the original Top Gun movie.
Yeah. So now we've got our three people, our three teams, three planes going, and they're doing their thing. And I think the second thing that really kind of didn't work great for me is they go underneath the bridge that kind of comes up out of nowhere. And I think that it's supposed to be this, whoa, where did that come from? Heads up, wow, got to rock and roll through this, this tight turn, this, flip through that thing. And that's fun, and it looks cool, which is why they included in the trailer. But, and it doesn't show up in any of their training simulation runs, which makes me feel like the filmmakers were trying to tell us that this was new, like whoa, a new challenge for us. But they just kind of like whip through it, and there's no, like, it doesn't feel like a recognition of that was a challenge or like a thing that's going to rattle them a little bit. It just kind of happens, and they're like, wow, that was cool, we made it, all right, and then we move on, right? So that's kind of the second piece for me. What I liked then from then on is, like, every time they look up, you just see the missiles over them, just waiting to launch, and you're like, yeah, okay, that would be so unnerving, which was great. Then they go through the rest of the run, and that's fine. They do fine. It's great. They do the thing where, like, the person's way lagging behind. It's not quite as bad as Phantom Menace, where, like, you're 6 laps behind, and then you're finally going to turn on your engine, and you're finally going to go. Like, but he's lagging so far behind, like, you got to go. And then he's finally like, okay, I'm going. And, like, he catches up and all that stuff. Like, I don't know. That's just his, whatever. Okay, and then they end up in, like, it's not Siberia, but it might as well be Siberia. And, like, they just kind of end up there, and then they, like, immediately fly out after bombing the thing, and, like, okay, cool, we, like, this is going to be a challenge, but, like, it kind of isn't. It's a little bit of a challenge, but not really. We're just got to pull up a little bit harder than we thought we were going to. But, like, the fact that it was bombed doesn't actually influence the plane taking off at all. So why didn't other planes take off? We don't know. Stuff like that. So that whole section, and then they're, like, back. Like, it just all happens. And it happens really fast.
I think Luke missed a few facts, Jonathan.
Oh, I'm not trying to give you all of the play-by-play for it. I'm giving you my like where as I went through it, I was like, okay, cool. So that's why the third act just doesn't work for me as well. Those are some
what I'm saying is there's a few facts that I feel like you're getting a little bit not correct.
Well, that's entirely possible. I've seen the movie once.
And this could be the fault of the film for not making it more clear for you specifically.
Okay. I mean, let's blame the film for Luke not being able to keep up with things.
And there's a lot of things that happen very fast in this movie, so it makes sense. But they already have enemy fighters in the air before they ever bomb the airfield.
Sure. Yeah, there's that. They're coming, and you know that's coming. It's going to be a thing that they're going to have to deal with at some point. Yeah.
I'm still shocked that you compared this film to The Phantom Menace. No,
not the film. Not the film.
It happened.
The moment.
You made a comparison.
This moment. Yeah. Oh, I absolutely made a comparison.
And now, I understand it was a decent comparison, but how dare you enter those words in the context of this much better movie?
I agree that's a much better movie. I am just saying that they're doing the thing that films do, where, like, you're way behind, and then suddenly you're just not as much. Now, granted, they did a pretty good job of it because they actually are quite a ways behind, which does lead to some things. But, like, it's definitely like you got to go, and then you go, and you're just waiting for them to go, and it's a thing.
They set that up in the training sessions too, because Rooster also didn't go faster in the training. He's like, we made it there alive. It's like, and then you got shot down.
And then you got shot down. Yeah.
In the training situation.
Right, and that's true. And I guess that's another thing where, like, I know they're saying it and they're doing that, and maybe this is part of why I read this sequence so poorly. Like, just me personally not enjoying it as much is I'm not feeling that tension. Like for whatever reason, they do it in the training session, and you're absolutely right. They do that, and it's like you got shot down because you didn't go fast enough, and now you're not going fast enough. Is it going to get shot down? And I never felt that tension. There was nothing in it where I was like, oh, he's going to get shot down. I never felt it, and I don't know why I didn't feel it, but it was not there for me at all. Like I wasn't even not even remotely worried. Like, it didn't even cross my radar that, like, this was a problem.
Is that just because you've seen too many movies, though? Because, I mean, we all know that usually the good guys survive and win in the end.
No, because I can still have and this is why the Prove It run is so great, because of course he's going to make it because otherwise this movie's not going to happen. Like of course, like it's so like. But I am on the edge of my seat with everybody else, just being like, yeah, go, you're gonna make it. Like it's so good. And for whatever set of reasons, and I've tried to outline a couple of them, that sequence and that tension was not there at all for me. It was more just like, got to get it done, and let's see what happens. And they, stuff is happening, but there wasn't anything where I was on the edge of my seat going, wow, what's gonna happen? How is this gonna work out? What's the crazy stuff that's happening? So, I don't know. That was me.
Jonathan, can you tell me why Luke is so wrong?
Okay, let's start from the beginning. First of all, Luke is always wrong. Let's just start with a maxim, okay?
I mean, that's why you guys watch this show, is because this is the
everyone is gone. There is no one left. No. Look, the thing about the end run is first of all, Luke, I would not say that there's not tension. I would say that you don't have anything you're rooting for. And that's you personally. That's why I think it's not working for you.
That might be a better way of saying it.
Because it's plenty like to Scott's point, like we've all seen a bazillion movies and we all know where this is going likely. But here's okay. By the way, there is some tension if you're watching it for the first time and depending on how into it you are, okay? One of the tensions over the entire thing is not whether or not they're going to succeed at the mission. The tension I had was the question in my mind of, is Maverick going to die at the end of this movie?
Sure.
Because this is about the whole thing with him and Goose died, and now he's got his son, he doesn't want Rooster to die, and so is something going to happen where Maverick's going to have to sacrifice himself to save Rooster? Is Rooster going to somehow get killed? Like, those are the kinds of things I think the audience is actually, like, as far as like a tension or a question or concern that's really there for the whole sequence, that's probably the bigger question sequence like thing, right? But like, then there's the rooting for Rooster. And that's Maverick wants him to get to this place where he can just be his better pilot and be ready, right? And so it's not Rooster's movie, but in that sequence, it is Rooster's sequence. The first sequence is Maverick's sequence, that the Proving Ground one, that's Maverick, right? That's him showing up, and without an admiral's help, Iceman, without anything else to guard him, he is showing up and doing what he does best, breaking the rules, but doing something only he can do, and inspiring the whole team. Like he's teaching them in a way that only he can teach them. Like it's all about Maverick in that scene.
Yeah. Right.
And then later, it's still about Maverick later, but it's in the actual run, it's actually more about, will Rooster, like you're rooting for him, like will he somehow do this? And again, like on a larger scale, you also just, are you rooting for the team? Like, they've been training for this. Can they pull it off? Kind of like the Death Star trench run. You hear about this thing. Can they do it? Are they actually going to pull this off? Right? Now, they don't spend time investing in, say, the Iranian military facility being super duper evil. They never even mention the country. We have no time with any villains. There is no antagonist like that. So it's not like Darth Vader's in there with the Star Wars trench run, where it's like, man, darn that guy. We got to take that thing down. It's much more of, we just assume it's bad, and so we want to see if they can pull off the crazy mission without dying. It's really like, can they do this without dying? That is the constant theme the whole way through, which is why I think that one of the best parts of the whole sequence is not only is the sequence just doing it, I think feels really good. I think it's just awesome, and you're on your way. I think that if you're into it at all, like I was, you root for Rooster, and he does have his like, I'm gonna come from behind moment, but you're like, it feels good. You're like, yeah, do it, man. And the better part of that is not that. That's the start of it. The better part is when he goes into, he gets to do the flight up, comes down into the canyon to shoot the bomb into the facility, and they're screwed. Like, dead eye, our laser stuff is not working. And it's the full proof of him becoming the pilot that he has to be. Like, he's finally made this transition from cautious, waiting, thinking, to being this other thing that Maverick is and trying to instill in him. He's finally doing it where he is just going to think, we don't have time, we got dead eye, I'm going to shoot the bomb, and I'm going to use my gut, and it's basically the Force. It is the Luke Skywalker Force torpedo into the hole, only not the Force, just gut instinct and pilot skills, and he does it, right? And all of that leading into this, like, all the ominous Sam sites they're watching before, which they know they have to deal with. And then you just watch it. And they do such a great job of getting into it and showing you specifically how, missiles launched, planes here, flares, turns, avoids, right? And they do that several times. And then you get all the planes out there, all 4 of them. And then you start cutting faster and faster and faster between all the people in there. And then they just do a wide shot. And it's just complete sheer chaos of just like missiles and flares and planes. And you're like, holy crap. Like this is insane. How would anybody get through this? Okay. And then you get to your actual tension, which has been set up in the aircraft carrier and before through the whole movie of, is someone going to actually die? Is someone not going to make it, right? Is Rooster going to die is the first question. Missiles coming towards me, doesn't have flares, blah, blah, blah. And then they use the like Cobra maneuver, the fly over, which is the same maneuver that he's used not only in this film, but in the previous film. He's used it as like his BA dogfighting maneuver that no one else came up with, and he just does. And he uses it to save Rooster's life. He uses it as a defensive maneuver, right? With the flares over him. And it's beautiful. It's a wonderful image. It's a wonderful, like, taking Maverick and having him do something he wouldn't normally do, but to save some, like, there's actually, I think, in that ending sequence, a ton of stuff going on. That ending run is, I think, fantastic and well done. Now, if you're not in it, okay. It's like, it's so, in a weird way, like classic Luke, like, I liked this thing, but everything else was nonsense. And not that you're saying it's not, like, we're just like, it didn't work for me. I just had to go through it. And for me, I thought it was one. Now, granted, the first time I saw this movie, I was in the trench run. I was like, I think I know what's going to happen. I think that they're going to do it. They're going to barely get it done. I think Maverick is going to have to go down, saving Rooster's life. And I bet that if they keep him alive, that he'll end up stealing an F-22 or an F-14. Excuse me. My dad would get on me about that. An F-14 Tomcat. They'll end up stealing one of those because it's the movie. It's the one from the first movie. And then he'll have Rooster with him or something, and they'll both fly home and it'll be okay, right? So I knew, like, that was coming into my head. And it was still a freaking great sequence. So I don't, where's, like, so as a viewer, where Luke was and why he got there and where he was sort of detached from things and where I was, where it's like, I still saw where it was going and it was awesome. Scott, where were you at, man?
Yeah, I mean, to me, one of the great things about Top Gun Maverick, and maybe it's just that we're, 30 years down the road, 30 plus years down the road, and we actually know how to develop characters better and make movies better, and we have better technology. But the thing that I think like really grabs me about Top Gun Maverick is more of the interpersonal stuff, right? It's the relationships. It's, like the entire movie is set up by this story that you learn about between Maverick and Rooster and what exactly that's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like. Like, are these two ever going to actually like each other? And it's the, hey, I don't want this kid to ever hate his parents, so I'd rather have him hate me. And kind of all there's so much dynamic there with the interpersonal relationship. And, Jonathan, as you were talking, it kind of hit me of like, there's that moment when Rooster like speeds up in the trench run. Yeah, the tension is, will Rooster be able to do this? But the reality is a lot more along the lines of, okay, Maverick was finally able to become a parent figure to Rooster, which he's been trying to be the entire time.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So when you look back at it, and then you get this moment of, hey, he's saving his, son, stepson, whatever, second father, not really blood related, but, he isn't. Not in reality, but, he became that father figure to him. He goes and he saves Rooster's life, and you're all like, yeah. And then he gets shot down, and even the better payoff moment for me then is when Rooster comes back to blow up the helicopter that's about to kill Maverick, and then gets shot down himself, and they finally, you know, run into each other. And it's like you're supposed to be back on the ship right now. I acted, I didn't think, just like you told me to do. And it was that like, oh crap, he's me moment, right? Like the dad that finally realizes that how he's been raising his son helped him son turn into who he is. And you have that.
That was a fun moment. That was absolutely a fun moment.
So,
well, I mean, to just hammer that home, I think I felt it when I was watching the movie, but I didn't articulate it or notice it. My girlfriend actually had to point it out to me. In the trench run, as Rooster's slow, and everyone's like, is he going to do anything? Is he going to do anything? Maverick at one point, well, there's a point where Rooster's doing the talk to me thing.
I want to give the qualification. This might be one of the great little moments in this movie of what Jonathan is about to describe. Like, and if you missed it, like, take a second to think about this, because, I mean, every bit of the filmmaking and the storytelling in this moment is just so phenomenal. Okay, continue.
Maverick in the movie, and like in the end of Top Gun, he used to hold Goose's dog tags, and he was flying the plane, and when he's making a decision, he's concerned about something, he would say, "Talk to me, Goose," right? Like he's got PTSD, doesn't want to go back into the fight, doesn't know if he should do it, and he's disengaging, and he's holding Goose, he's like, "Talk to me, Goose." And that's the thing, that moment, something in there helps him get a resolve, and he goes back in and saves the day. That's the end of the first movie, right? Well, he still has a little bit of that going on in Top Gun Maverick. He still has, like, he's doing the test flight and stuff, and he still kind of talks to Goose, like, "Talk to me, Goose," right? And in this last run, we find out that Rooster does the same thing. And Rooster's, he's in there, and he's like flying the plane, he's slow, and everyone's like, "Come on, man, come on, we gotta go." And he goes, "Talk to me, Dad." And they immediately cut to Maverick, who is in there, not having heard Rooster, just he's in his plane going, "Come on, kid, come on, you gotta go, just go, don't think, just go," right? And of course, the implication from the cutting is, "Talk to me, Dad." Maverick's a father figure. So obviously there's the Goose element, and it's the same thing and again, it also connects him because Maverick's done the same thing. And it's also Maverick doing that at his decision point in the first movie, where it's Rooster doing it in his decision point in this movie, right? So there is this wonderful payoff to multiple aspects, like 2 movies and this character arc in a way that you did not necessarily see coming at all, but makes complete and perfect sense. And then voila, yes, the father-son relationship is made more and more evident from that point on. From that point on, it is sealed. It is done. They are now basically father figure and son figure for the rest of the movie. And it's really good.
Luke, does any of that change your mind about the third act?
No, of course not. No, I like all of that is great. It's great. It's fine. I think as Jonathan already pointed out, I just don't care about the Rooster thing at all. Like, it just doesn't.
But okay, you don't get to get off it. No one on this podcast gets to get off that easy. You have to answer the question, why? Why is that not good enough for you? Like, what is? Do you have any sense of why you didn't get engaged, even though literally half the movie is dedicated to it?
Yeah, I don't think I ever really felt the Rooster thing. I don't think I ever felt for him. I was told a lot, and maybe that's okay. My first guess, and this is where I don't know, but my first guess is that most of the frustration is from dialogue, and I never see it. Because he's just this cocky kid who comes in and does his thing, is like, "I'm gonna do it," and then he eventually has to do his push-ups with everybody else. But like he's just one of the cocky kids who comes in. And he just happens to be, aside from like Mr. Cocky himself, he's like the other cocky guy. And every time that it's like you should be rooting for this guy, it's because he says, "Oh, this guy held me back, and this thing happened to me," but it's all dialogue. I don't see anything that makes me feel for him, where I get connected to him in his journey. So like he does some cool things, and I enjoy some of those things. Like the fact that he's like, I'll run you into the ground, Maverick. That's fine. We'll both die. I'm fine with that. Like I'm so like when they're doing their spiral down, like that's great. And the fact that Maverick is the one who pulls out first, I think is great. Where he's like, okay, yeah, fine, we're not. He's like, yeah, okay, cool. Um, so I see those actions that he's taking, but I don't feel for him. And it's interesting because I absolutely feel for Milo, whatever his name is, in Whiplash. Like in that film, like I'm with him. Like I'm in his head. And in this film, I'm not at all. I'm just not there at all. Like I don't think there's any point in the film where I was on my first time watching it, like really with him on anything. Which is why I don't think I cared about a lot of the stuff in the last act because you're like, this is Rooster's run, and I'm like, I don't care. I was not in with Rooster at all for that sequence.
Well, it's weird because I don't think that it's about being in Rooster's head. At least for me, I don't know that I was necessarily in his head a ton. I was much more in Maverick's head more often, and Maverick has a lot of sympathy and care for him, and I sense all of that, right? And I also sense like I think being in Maverick's head, right? I sense this like it sucks being Rooster in a lot of ways. Like your dad died, you're doing this, like I have this empathy for a story, and I wonder how much of that, like for me, it works just fine because in the first movie, it's hard not to like Goose. Goose is just this funny kind of fun guy who's helping out Maverick and is his wingman, like he's just not literally, but like he's in the back seat, he's Rio, like always helping him out, and then in this freak accident, he dies, and it's like this innocent dude who's just one of the good guys. He's not even the cocky guy. He's just with the cocky guy, right? Like, I mean, I guess he's somewhat cocky, but like, he's just with them, and it just destroys. He's the one who has a family, and he's the one that dies, right? Like, it's this huge gut punch for the movie, and I still have lingering things of that. So going into this, seeing Rooster, the literal coming out of that, like this is what's coming out of that tragedy, and this is Maverick's perspective on him and trying to like save him, interact with him, teach him all these different things. So I don't know if I was in Rooster's head. Like, that's why I say rooting for. Like, I think it's so much more about like, do you want this kid to somehow break through this part of his life that is just crushing him? And the other thing that's interesting is even though literally his call sign is Rooster, you know, like cocky Rooster, but like I don't really find Rooster cocky. In fact, they have an entire sequence in the first training sequence where the whole thing is he doesn't abandon his wingman and he lets him like he holds out with his wingman trying to take down Maverick in the training. And in that dogfight, Rooster goes down in an effort to try to like he lets his other guy get away because he follows all the procedures, which is the exact opposite of Hangman, who is the cocky guy. He's like, I don't care, I'll leave you to dry. Like that whole thing. Like they spend time just being like, this guy is kind of he plays music and he can be kind of, you know, he's got a swagger, but I don't think he ever at least in my opinion, I never thought of him as like cocky or arrogant or like after like trying to get above or one up other people. Right. Unless of course it's the classic air, like it's a competition because it's a competition. Okay, fine, we're in a competition. Sure, I gotta do my best, but that was my perspective.
But for Rooster, it's more about him getting over whether it's the incident that killed his father or the fact that Maverick, you know, set him back X number of years in his career, or, you know, what it's more about him getting over that. And so it's not that he's cocky, but it's that can he overcome these feelings that he has or whatever's going on there, you know, it's something else.
But basically, Luke, what you're saying is none of that connected for you.
Right. Nope, did not. And it could be because, you know, I like Top Gun is not one of my movies, and so therefore like the Goose thing isn't one of my things. In fact, the Goose reference that sticks more to me is Rocketeer. Hey Goose, okay. So like I think there's some jokes there. And so it didn't like there was nothing like there's no carryover from the first film to this film for me to say, okay, I need to feel for this kid a little bit more or whatever. Yeah, and maybe I just kind of missed or didn't care or was apathetic toward that thing. I mean, like, you know, pretty early on, here are the people that are going to be in this final run because that's who the camera starts showing you more and more of. But like it, you know, but there wasn't. I don't know. I never got emotionally invested with that. So,
yeah. That's fair. And part of me wonders, okay, if you had gone back and watched the original before you saw it
Right.
in the theater, would it be different?
Right. That's a great question. But then for me, then that raises the question of what is the film in and of itself compared to being a sequel? But it is a sequel, so how much does that matter? Those are interesting questions for me.
Yeah, and I can't answer them because I'm actually someone who's seen the first movie plenty of times, right? But I do believe that the movie does what it can. Like thinking about it as if I started watching this movie and having no knowledge, they give you plenty of time to show you how
Sure.
Maverick, this character you're following, cares about this thing. He has this
Right.
thing in his past that hurts
Yep.
him. They even give you freaking flashbacks of like
Totally.
this person's dying in his
Right.
arms and it's his son and like, and I think that's really that is in a lot of like, and that's the thing. I don't know why that doesn't work for you, Luke, but like that is the emotional core of the story early. And then from that, everything else that's emotional core is sort of built out of that in a lot of ways of just, look, this guy lost his friend back in the day and he feels like he's blaming himself. Right. And that's not like, I don't know how universal that is, but feeling like you've lost somebody and blaming yourself for it is absolutely a powerful emotional well to pull from.
Right.
And I don't know why it didn't connect for you. And again, I think it could probably work either way, whether you see the first one or not. But I don't know why that just didn't I don't know why it didn't connect for you.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't. But there's some really great stuff. I mean, they shoehorn Val Kilmer back in, and that's great. They get him back in. He's mostly not in the film, but he's in for that, that one sequence. And we talked about how the cutting in that sequence is really good, where he types and you see what he says, and you see.
Yeah.
But then you got the reaction, and you're waiting, and it's this wonderful thing. And there's a video essay, which maybe I'll try and link to, where they're talking about like, can you make the audience ask a question, because that means that they're engaged in the sequence, and they do a great job with it. It was that sequence alone, I think, was a great example of that.
And just to be very clear for you who may not understand what we're talking about, in the sequence with Val Kilmer, basically the editing and the pacing of the scene sets up a pattern. Question to Iceman. Iceman types. You see what Iceman types. Maverick responds. And they do that like 2 times, maybe 3 times. And then there's a time where it's a bigger question, a more important question, and he's typing and we don't see what he says. Instead, we focus on Maverick's reaction to seeing the words. So we don't get the information. Maverick gets the information. We focus on Maverick looking at the information, thus emphasizing, like punctuating, like this is important. And then finally we see what Iceman actually said. And then it's a more of an emotional gut punch of that's the thing. And it shifts the scene.
Right.
And they just do a good job with doing that kind of storytelling stuff, which is great. It's good filmmaking.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that, when I look back at this movie and I think about kind of my final feelings, I look back at it and, I mean, clearly the story for Jonathan and I worked. All 3 acts, it worked. 2 acts for Luke, 3 acts for the rest of us. We'll count that as like, 8 out of 9 is good. So
is that how we rank things?
Pretty good rating right there.
It's actually a really cool way to rank things. The 3 of us and how many acts work for us. And that's like an out of 9 score.
That's pretty awesome.
8 out of 9.
That's pretty awesome. I like this. As a function.
But there's a lot of other things like the technical side, and especially the editing in that sequence with Iceman was, just phenomenal. And they're doing those things throughout the movie. Yeah, there's some silly things like the taking off in the F-14 was kind of ridiculous, and
of course
it didn't quite fit and whatnot. But they had a lot of really good moments in this movie that still really worked, especially from the technical side of making it look right. So ultimately, for me, my reaction when I walked out of the movie was to say, this is the reason that I wanted to pursue filmmaking in my life, right? Like, this was one of those movies that reminded me why I love going to the movies so much.
Yeah, I would agree. It was a really good return to what I think movies I want to see, movies I haven't seen in a long time, just in the style of storytelling, the style of action filmmaking, the style of just like, hey, we can have character and we can have good filmmaking the whole way through. and we can have great action. We can do all of this, and we can do it practically, and we can do CGI, and we can do all of this. And it's just, it's filmmaking. We're just making a real good movie here. And I feel like I've been missing that more and more. And just a quick aside, in defense, even though it is truly silly, but like in defense of that silly like takeoff from the taxiway, I could even argue there that again, it's a character thing of like, of course they have to, and they have to figure out a way. The writers are like, we blew up the airfield. How do they get out of there? I don't know. He just takes off from the taxi. But like, even though that's a thing, it's like, that's a Maverick thing. That's the kind of crap Maverick does. I don't know any other pilot anywhere would even attempt it, but Maverick's like, you know what? We got to do it. So let's do it, and let's rank it. Let's just try. So even there, it's a potential character thing.
Yeah. So Luke, will you tell our audience, the few of them that there are, that Top Gun Maverick is a good movie?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a fun ride. Absolutely.
Is it a great movie?
Is it a great movie? I don't know. It's not in my top 5, but it's fine.
That's what a great movie is. It gets in your top 5.
No, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. What do you mean by great? It was a fun ride. I had a good time with it. Is it a movie that I'm like, I'm gonna watch that a bunch of times? No, I don't think so. But I didn't watch the first one a bunch of times, so like, it's fine. It's fine. It was a good ride. So yeah, and you probably already know that it's a good ride because you've already seen it. I'm the one who's the holdout here, and I'm sorry, everybody.
But, if you haven't seen it or you have seen it, you should probably go see it again.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it in Jonathan's home theater.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. You get the IMAX ratio and stuff. It looks good.
We might have to let Jonathan talk about his home theater at some point, but not on this episode.
Because we are running out of time.
We are out of time. Yeah. Thanks for hanging there with us.
Scott, would you say this is a good movie?
I would.
Would you say it's a great movie?
I would, yes.
Would you say it's a phenomenal movie?
Don't know about that.
Whoa, dude.
It's really close to phenomenal. And like I said, it is a movie that reminded me of the joy that I get from movies. It's like I said, it reminded me of the reasons why I wanted to make films at one point in my life, and was diving into that head first. So, yeah, I appreciate this movie to the point where I hope, like Star Wars did for a lot of us, that this movie will inspire a lot of people, whether it's to become filmmakers or to serve in our military. Both are, the military is a very noble cause, and making films is a, dear God, please let us get better filmmakers in this world. And we'll let it ride at that.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say about this movie, I think that the big crack that Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise have figured out that I think was just supposed to be basic for everybody that everyone forgot. If you write a good story and then you use filmmaking in the best ways you possibly can, you end up with way better movies than if you write stupid crap and then you use all the best filmmaking in the best ways you can. Like, you need the good story there. That's a core thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. We might not know when we'll see you again, but we hope to see you next time.